Hi guys, today I wanna show you my tank collection, all my tanks that I have at the moment. Video how I made each of these tanks and vehicles you can find on my channel. Not all of my tanks today on this table, some of them I have already destroyed, some simply broke due to the heat. Yeah, this is main problem with the clay and plasticine tanks. My first tank model was Soviet T70, it was broken, next was T72, I blew it up, and Soviet T34, it's my oldest tank which still alive. As you noticed, I like Soviet tanks. T34 was first most produced tank of the Second World War. I made modification with 76mm gun, and you can see my model now it's not in best condition. But I like this old fella, that's why I still keep it in my fridge. Next tank, it's a Soviet, again, Soviet monster KV-1. Real nightmare for the German tank crew at the beginning of the war. 76mm gun, 100mm frontal armor, 80mm side armor. It was too cool for the time, too big, too strong, but yeah, not so fast. And also I made its next modification KV-2 with 152mm cannon. Inside the hull you can see 152mm shells. I just took chassis from KV-1 and placed a new turret on it, which carry a new horrible 152mm gun. Now I have boss turret with 76mm gun and with 152mm gun, and I can just replace them. But I don't change the shells inside the hull, so there are always 152mm shells there. My little cheating with this model. The model is still in good condition, I even could easily open the hatches. Thanks KV-1/2, and now my first German tank, Tiger II Panzerkampfwagen 6 Aust B, or King Tiger. In my opinion, it was best heavy tank of Second World War. I made its first version with the Porsche turret, the second version with the Henkel turret had a better armor. But visually I like the Porsche turret much better. Trying to open engine compartment, everything worked perfect. Maybe one day I'll just make a second turret for it, just like in case with KV tanks. I also made damage on my Tiger II, as if the tank had just come out of battle. Oh, what we have here? Mouse tank. The most heavy tank in the history. 188 tons. Just 2 prototypes were built and none of them took part in the battle. I think it's funny. The biggest, the heaviest and the most useless. In War Thunder, in World of Tanks games, it's much better than it was in real life. Only one tank has survived to this day, and it can be seen in museum in Russia in Moscow. The Soviet army captured it in 1945. Using this model I made another video with this tank, I sent my mouse in future, upgraded it with modern equipment. New gun, additional armor, reactive armor, new thermal sight and electronics. I just let my imagination run wild a little. Hope you appreciated it. Next, best APC in the history, M113. As a result, most produced APC in the history, absolutely best seller, and the first mass-produced armored vehicle with aluminum armor. Now it's widely used in war in Ukraine. I have planned to upgrade this APC in future, make an ATGM modification or anti-air vehicle, maybe make self-propelled motor. I haven't made a decision yet. Too many variants was built in real life and too many variants in my head. Su-152 Soviet heavy self-propelled assault howitzer, armed with 152 howitzer ML-20, based on chassis of Soviet heavy tank IC-2. During Second World War, Soviet soldiers use it like tank destroyer because they have nothing better to fight with German Tiger tanks, and that's why the Soviet soldiers called this vehicle Beast Killer. In World of Tank games, everybody used this IC-152 with 152 anti-tank gun BL-10, but in real life was built only one prototype with this armament. It failed in tests and was not mass-produced. My version is historically correct and was widely used in battles in Second World War. T14 Armada, the newest Russian main battle tank, and maybe one of the newest main battle tank in the world. But Houston will have a problem. Russia released and showed it in 2018. Last 3 years they have been trying to capture Ukraine, and we still haven't seen Armada in battle. According to the latest news I heard, they simply don't have the budget to produce these tanks. Very strange situation. Start a big war and not make your best and use tanks for it, and soldiers continue to lose their lives in old Soviet tanks whose turrets fly off. T14 has unmanned turret, and main feature of this tank is the crew of 3 is seated in the armored capsule in the frontal of the hull. Excellent armor, 125mm gun, and in the future with the possibility of replacing it with a 152mm gun. But all this doesn't matter, since the tank will not be produced. British Centurion Mark V. With its production everything is fine. Between 1946 and 1962, 4,423 Centurions were produced. It became a real star of Cold War. Pretty simple design, excellent 105mm gun L7, best tank gun during 50s and 60s. This tank has rich battle history. Korean War, Vietnam War, Indian-Pakistan War. In Middle East, the first country which bought Centurion was Egypt. Later, Israel military force has used it extensively in several wars. Thanks to Israel and Middle East wars, this tank became so popular. And nowadays, South Africa still operates over 170 Centurions, which were modernized in 1980s and 2000 as the Oliphant. My first wheeled armored vehicle, Russian APC Vril. It was first mine resistance ambush protected vehicle, MRAP. The vehicle is based on the K-Mass civilian truck and was designed for the Russian border guards. It is produced fitted with several different turrets, with 30mm automatic gun. Another version has a launcher for anti-air missiles. I made my version with heavy 14.5mm machine gun KPVT. The Jagdpanzer 38, known mostly post-war as a Hetzer, German light tank destroyer based on modified Czechoslovakian Panzer 38T chassis. Designed to replace vehicles like the XIII and Marder series. I left an opening roof on my model so you could easily see the details inside. It has simple design, was light, small, cheap to build and mechanically reliable, with good armor and powerful 75mm gun. It had a sloped armor flown plate of 60mm, sloped back at 60 degrees from the vertical, equivalent in protection to about 120mm. That's why it became a German main tank destroyer in the later period of the Second World War. AMX-XIII, my first French tank, and first tank with dram autoloader, or revolver-type magazines, named after its initial weight of 13 tons. Light tank with 3 members of crew, equipped with 90mm gun. I think it's most successful French tank after Second World War. Including prototypes and export version, over 100 variants exist, including self-propelled guns, anti-aircraft systems, APCs, recovery vehicles and ATGM versions. France built 7,700 units, 3,400 exported. It took part in more than 15 wars, and now still in service in Ecuador, Indonesia, Peru and Venezuela. In original video my model was without ATGM launchers. Now you can see I made a little upgrade. This version called AMX13 T75, fitted with SS11 ATGM launchers. Another one Soviet tank, BT7A RT tank. All series of BT tanks were convertible tanks. This was a feature that was designed by John Walter Christie to reduce wear of the unreliable tank tracks of the 1930s. In about 30 minutes the crew could remove the tracks and engage a chain drive to the rearmost rod wheel on each side, allowing the tank to travel at very high speed on the roads. In wheeled mode the tank was steered by pivoting the front rod wheels, but Soviet tank forces soon found the convertible option of the little practical use. In a country with few paved roads, it consumed space and added needless complexity and weight. Main modification of BT7 had 45mm anti-tank gun, BT7A artillery fitted with a larger turret and 76mm gun with 50 rounds of ammunition. GTA, love this game, and my Rhino tank from GTA III and GTA Vice City. Of course, you won't find blueprint or equipment for this tank inside, so I had to come up with everything myself. For gun I made an autoloader. In game it has very high rate of fire. Engine I placed at the backside of hull, because the developers took as the basis a French armored vehicle with a rear engine. And I think everyone knows that it doesn't have tracks, it's a wheeled tank. I also added some attachments to make it look more realistic. Shovel, boxes, smoke grenade launchers, lights, tower eyelets, everything what can be seen on any armored vehicle. Now waiting for GTA 6. We'll see how Rhino will look like there. M4 Sherman, US medium tank. I made M4A2 version with long barrel high velocity 76mm gun. On this time it's my absolutely best model, and so I did it with opening hull to show you all details and equipment inside. Sherman was most widely used tank by United States during Second World War. More than 49,000 tanks were built from 1942 to 1945. It was in service until 2018. United States Army operated it until 1957. These tanks fight everywhere. In Middle East, in Africa, in Asia, in South America and of course in Europe against Nazi Germany. It was also the basis of several other armored fighting vehicles, including self-propelled artillery, tank destroyers, anti-aircraft vehicle, MLRS, recovery vehicle. The Sherman is the most recognizable tank of the United States in World War II and the real workhorse of the American Army. The first battle tank in history, British Mark I, was developed by United Kingdom during First World War in 1915. As you can see, it didn't have a rotating turret. The main armament was carried in sponsons on the hull sides. There were two variants of this tank. First with 57mm cannon and Hotchkiss machine gun at each side. Second variant were produced with machine guns only, which were designated female, while the original version with 57mm guns was called male. The main reason why this tank appeared on the battlefield: to cross the wide and deep trenches prevalent on the battlefields on the Western Front, to break the stalemate of trench warfare. Tanks became a real game changer in First World War. Main battle tank of Indian Army, Arjun Mark I. Yeah, I even have such exotic tank on my channel. Not everyone knows that India produced its own main battle tank. This tank is a mixture of technologies from different countries. The chassis is similar to the chassis of the Abrams main battle tank. The turret looks like a turret of German main battle tank Leopard 2A4. Also, a lot was taken from Russian tanks, and the Spain developed a fire control system for this tank. Second modification, Arjun Mark II, including better sights and thermal sights, adding mounted reactive armor, and ability to launch ATGM from main gun. For me, I really liked the coloring and camouflage of the Arjun, very unusual for fighting vehicles. And my last model by this time, the Soviet Beast IC7 heavy tank. The vehicle exists only in prototype, was built 6 units, all prototypes, armored with 130mm long barrel gun with mechanical autoloader for 6 shells. Hull frontal armor with 150mm plates sloped at 55 degrees. This armor was designed to defeat rounds from Jack Tiger's 128mm gun from as close as 1 km. The turret mantlet was 350mm thick, and the turret itself 250mm angled at 50-60 degrees. The ultimate armor for that time. The weight was 68 tons, and thanks to 1050 horsepower diesel engine, it was able to achieve a top speed of 60 km per hour. Oof, for 1945 it was scary mechanism. Unfortunately, it didn't go into mass production. Instead, IC7, the Soviet Union produced T10 tanks. So guys, that's all my tank collection. Yeah, not only tanks. Here you can see how I improved my skill over time. Compare one of my first models with one of the latest. The difference is obvious, and I hope my skill will only get better with time. Video of sculpting all these models, of course, you can find on my channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Please support my channel with your likes and comments. And I hope see you at the next video. Bye bye.